George,
Here.
Barry,
Here.
Sherelle, Tori,
Here.
We have a quorum. We will proceed. Obviously, one project dropped out.
yes.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Do you want to do the minutes first?
Yep. We're going to do them right now. What are your wishes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Roll call. Excuse me. Follow the rules.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries.
Okay.
Michelle, item number 1.
Okay, so this first one we have today is LU-0085-25, which is Dallas Lallam, who's requesting a zone change to the agricultural zoning district and a conditional use permit to construct a water intake pumping station. This is located in sublot 6, which is in the north half of the southwest of section 16, township 154 north, range 96 west, being Hoffland Township. Hoffland Township is governed by Williams County, so no township comment has been solicited. The applicant is requesting a zone change to the agricultural zoning district for an approximately 10.10 acre parcel. The subject property is currently within the rural residential zoning district. The land was originally platted in 2003, being rezoned as residential, and was later rezoned to rural residential as part of the countywide zoning update. Within the Williams County zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations, an industrial pumping station is only allowable with a conditional use permit within the agricultural zoning district, light industrial or heavy industrial zoning district. With the location of the subject property, it was determined the agricultural zoning district was the most appropriate. The applicant is also requesting the conditional use permit to construct the water intake pumping station. The applicant was approved for the conditional water permit number 7026 in 2018 with an expiration date of March 1 of 2025. If the water was not beneficially used on or before that date. In March of 2024, the applicant was issued an extension of the water permit beneficial use until March 1 of 2030, Since being granted the extension, the applicant has acquired an HDPE stress analysis and hydrofracture analysis. Detailed plans have also been acquired to assist in the permitting process. Purpose of this water intake pumping station is to expand the existing industry and will allow for additional industrial water opportunities within the area. Access to the subject property is off private road off of 109th Avenue Northwest.
Anything else? Thank you, Michelle. Any questions for Michelle?
Michelle, are those other 4 lots, are they rural residential?
They are, yes.
Is there anything on any of them?
They're just empty lots.
Anyone else? James, please.
Yeah, so the pipe that's gonna go from that right to the lake, what's that gonna look like? Is that underground? Is buried?
It is underground as far as I'm aware.
We'll get Dallas up in there and we'll open the public hearing and we'll go through that. Tori, anything? Right? Eric? Okay, I will open the public hearing. Dallas, you want to come up and explain what you're doing?
Bring my son with Garrett. I'll do the easy questions, he'll do the tough ones.
That's what they're for.
Take it easy on it. And I promise this, I hope about a 99% chance it's the last time I'm coming with a project.
Okay, floor is yours.
Okay, so we applied back in 2018 for permit out of the lake. We farm and ranch for a living, but we do have a water depot, a freshwater depot down on 1804 with 400 acre feet out of the Huffman Aquifer. There's probably another half dozen or so landowners that have industrial water out of the Huffman Aquifer, and that's it. I think I don't even know if you could get an irrigation permit anymore out of the Huffman Aquifer. It's kind of at the limit, so they're not allowing any more water out. So back in 2018, when we got 400 acre feet, which with our business we do fine with, but we just decided after visiting with the State Water Commission and stuff, the future needs or whatever to apply for a permit out of the lake. And so we applied for 10,000 acre feet and we got. So our next step was then, and at that point, I guess, because we do have a water depot and we do freshwater stuff, some with fracking, and most now it's pretty much all traffic for truck traffic. We don't have enough water. We don't do any fracking to speak of anymore. Any water for that. There's other businesses. At the time, we were thinking probably we would do it ourselves. We started working with the Corps, which was really painful, and we went probably 2-3 years with them trying to move stuff forward, and then COVID hit, and they pretty much shut the doors, or shut the phones off, said they were closing the shop. So that was the end of it. About 2 years ago, I just decided I wanted to do another run at it. We're definitely looking at it a little different now, you might say. We feel that, or I feel, or both that we feel, our family feels that for the future of Northwest North Dakota, for different projects that can pop up in the future, there's going to be a need for water. And we've got the access right there. We had the permit. We've got the access right on the lake. So we decided to move forward again. And so we started it up again. We hired the same engineering. Well, he was with KLJ, now he's with Hulteg. He's a project manager. And then we had other engineering firms that are helping design the project for us. And we're at the point now where we're finally working on the permit with the Corps of Engineers. We're kind of crossing our fingers that probably with today's world administration and stuff, they're going to work with us a little bit better. And so we're at what they call a 60% level. That's kind of what the engineers call it, I guess, design process. And that's enough to go to the Corps now and do the application. And so our next goal is to get a construction permit. That could take 6 months. It could take 2 years. Who knows? But I do kind of think the Corps is going to be a little better now. I think everybody realizes there's projects that got to be done. So that's kind of where we're looking at. This project is way bigger than, especially the way we've got it designed now. I think we got a really good design. It's for 10,000 acre feet. And just to give you an idea what that amounts to is the withdrawal rate is 6,200 gallons a minute, which is basically 150 barrels. So all these semi trucks you see running around hauling water and stuff, they're basically 150 barrels. So that gives you kind of a rough idea what the withdrawal rate is. So that's every minute, every hour, 365 days a year is how that works. That's the withdrawal rate is. So it's a substantial amount of water. Again, we feel whether it's for rural use, for upcoming projects in the area, when something pops up, there's something that comes up 2 years from now, and somebody wants to build a plant in the Ray area or whatever, Tioga area, Epping area, wherever, and they need water. Well, they're not going to look at the area because you just don't go to the state and the Corps and get a permit right away. So that's kind of our reason behind this. We feel it's pretty important. Again, the project's bigger than, again, we farm and ranch. Our goal, and maybe I'd like to just kind of give you a rough idea of how we foresee this happening. you know, about back in 2008 or 2009, a friend of mine started the Lindahl Wind Farm project. It was a landowner-owned project, and so, for example, if you signed up 1,000 acres of land, you had 1,000 acres to share of owner in the Lindahl Wind project. And a friend of mine and I were the managing guys that put the project together. We built the lease was a landowner's lease. Terms were all landowners, so it was a very landowner friendly project. Our goal was never to build a project. Our goal was to get it basically kind of construction ready, find a good developer, and get the project built. And kind of by the skin of our teeth, we made it happen. It sat for quite a while. There was no activity as far as wind projects at the time, and I think probably a big thing that was part of it is the oil field was so strong, and there was a demand for electricity, and a company approached us, and so we got it built. Again, we were never going to build it ourselves, and this is kind of where this is at. I think this project is big, so again, we're going to try to get it construction ready, and I'm not sure how that next will happen, but we'll basically look for somebody to help take the project to construction and build it. Whether we're partners or sell it or however, I don't know how that'll actually happen, but you know, we're kind of at the stage now. We have let a few people know about it, so you know, once the word gets out, we're hopefully going to get some interest in it, and when it gets to construction ready, we'll get her done. So you asked a question. It's bored. We actually have to bore what, about 500 yards?
Yeah, it's a little over that, probably 560-ish. So they'll bring in a big boring machine. Michelle, do you have any other of the engineer diagrams or anything there that can be? If you
I
guys
did see a bunch of diagrams, but I couldn't tell. Like,
Oh.
you know, I'm not an engineer. It looked like it was going from that, you know, southeast corner, yeah, right out into the lake, out there
Yep.
a ways.
Yep.
But I didn't know. You know, I've got a place over at Paradise Point, and we just got our pump, and everything's right above ground. So I didn't know if you were going to have that under the beach or how that was going to look. That was one of my questions.
Yeah, no, they'll bore from the corner of our property, and they'll go down and then come back up and set the intake screen, and it's going to be roughly, I can't remember if it shows on there, it's roughly 550 yards to get to water that's got enough depth to support an intake of this size.
Guys, we're trying to record this. You might want to get a little closer to the
Oh.
mic,
Sorry.
okay? At least for Barry's sake.
Okay, okay. So yeah, to get to the 20 foot of water, which, I mean, we've, with the engineers doing the research, that we're fairly safe. There's no guarantee that someday it couldn't run, you know, if it gets really dry, but percentage wise, it's far enough out there, so it should be good as far as whatever projects come up to be able to meet the demand.
How many feet is it out there, though? I missed that part. How many feet out in the lake is the intake?
550.
I think it looks like it was going to
Oh,
be about
okay.
550 yards. Yeah, it's 15 or 1600.
It's about a 2,000 foot bore.
So is the plan to just? So is the? Please use your mic. Pull water out as you need it, or are you pulling it out and storing it, or what are you planning to do with this? You're talking about 150 barrels a minute, so where does it go?
Well, all we're doing is applying for the permit and to get the permit to build it. Then whoever takes the project on, I mean, there could be two pipelines, one that goes to Tioga, one that goes to Ray, or one that goes to Epping, but there'll be pipelines. So it's more than just I mean, we're designing and doing the intake and going to put that in. But again, that's not the end of the project. It'll basically, whoever picks it up and decides where the water is going to go, there'll be pipelines, whether it goes to Montreal County or We don't know that, you know what I mean?
So they might use it for municipal
It,
water?
it definitely could be, yes.
That is one thing we had a lot of discussions with our engineers on. There's a couple different ways you can design these intakes, and the way we've got it designed is the wet well with the bore out to the lake with multiple pumps in it, uh, basically designed for um, multiple purposes, not necessarily just for getting it up out of the lake and sending it someplace. So theoretically, yeah, I guess my terminology that we've kind of the design we're using is more of a like a municipal grade that could be tied into a municipal water plant to supply whether it's Williston or Ray or whatever. That's the design that we've come up with to use. We could obviously go with a lot probably a lot cheaper with just a direct HDD bore and a single pump for just raw water. That would obviously probably be a lot cheaper. The design that we're going with as of right now is more of a municipal type grade facility.
So yeah, there'll be a wet well, like a cistern at the corner of our land. And so there'll be like 3 pumps in there then. So the pumps will be I think the house is what, 16 by 28 is the size of the building. So there's like a deep cistern there and the pumps will sit in there. And then there'll pipelines coming out, right?
Basically, yeah. Yep.
And you're not planning to change the zoning in the rural residential that's next to this? Right now, it doesn't have anything on it, I understand. There's no houses there.
So maybe I should explain that. So that all that land there was family land, and it was my great grandmother's. And 10 years ago or whenever it was, with other cousins and stuff, we did some land swapping and dissolving, and then this 200 acres total of I think 200 acres was there, and so how we set that up is I bought all of it except for those 10 plots. So my brothers and sisters each had 10 acres there. And since then, 3 of them I've bought out. So there's, so of the 5, and I don't even remember how if they were residential or whatever, but I've got 2 brothers that own the farthest west lots. And we have irrigation on it now. There's no, it's farmland.
Well, the reason I ask is because half a mile from me is a fresh water source that they pump a lot of water into laydown pipes,
Right.
and they're very loud. I mean, I can hear the pump half a mile away. So I'm just thinking this thing is not compatible with residential right next to it.
Well, there isn't anything there in those lots. No, like say, 3 of them actually I own the 2 west ones are my brothers. But again, this won't be lay flat. This will be, you know, it'll come out into that cistern, and then there'll be pipelines. So as far as noise, you know, I know Barry had that question because obviously there's concerns all the time as far as that. So I talked to the engineering firm and they just said, as long as they know it's like a 16 by 28 building. So 3 pumps inside that, it can be insulated to whatever the dB decibels, you know, that is allowed or whatever. It can be insulated. So, and then it'll be underground. So that shouldn't be an issue.
And of course, these are all electric pumps. There's no diesel driven pumps in these. It's all completely electric. So
Right. So it would be basically it's going to pretty much mirror the intake that the city of Williston uses currently, and there's homes that there's residential surrounding that. So I don't believe the the noise level will be any different than the water intake that the city of Williston is currently using. correct?
Yeah, like I say, I know what you're talking about as far as the lay flat and every eighth mile or mile or whatever, there's pumps that have to be running all the time. This is,
No,
this
no,
is,
no, no. I mean that like with your bore out your bore out into the lake, and then your wells at the site. The electric pumps inside your building will be no louder than the municipal water that serves the city of Williston. I mean, it's not going to be it ain't like there's going to be a bunch of two-stroke Detroits out there screaming. I mean, it's going to be it'll be negligible. It won't amount to nothing. Is my take on it after that meeting's had. But
I had another quick question to add on to that. So I know it's in I guess the county didn't get any comment from Hoffland. So did you talk to anybody from the Legion from the park or anybody from the county from the park
Yep.
about that?
So they did get notification, and Jeremy Ludlum, he's head of the Parks Department. They've known about this project and are well aware of it. So, and he didn't specify any direct concerns. So,
Dallas, if you do decide to use some of this water for like fracking and stuff, are you running a pipeline up to your water depot on 1804?
yeah, we have two wells right there on just to the north of where this is, two industrial wells, and we have a 12-inch pipeline that runs up to the highway.
A bunch of trucks coming in for frack water here then?
No.
Up to your other depot? Okay.
No.
We're just barely a half a mile from our existing booster station that sends it to our depot. Yeah.
Any other questions? It's a public hearing. Does anybody from the public want to comment on this? Please come forward.
Okay.
Please state your name for the record.
Robert Velez, hello board. I was just concerned with the farmers. Would it be an issue because they were mentioning that they have parcels and their water supply, obviously they're wanting to join into the municipal waters, so that would make them part of the city itself. Is it a concern about the pump noise, or is it a matter of a fresh water source line meeting with a municipal water line, almost like a merger? Is that a concern?
I don't think you can bring a fresh water line to merge with municipal and have to go into the municipal water facility and be processed.
That need to be treated.
They're not proposing to do that. They're just proposing to have an intake out of the lake with their existing water permit and have it set up to tie into something else.
They're requesting a permit. That's what.
Industrial water permit, yes.
So what would be the steps to go about doing such?
They've already acquired said permit from the State Water Commission. They can probably better answer it than me, but they fill out the application with the State Water Commission. It's reviewed by the State Water Commission as to the hydrological needs in that area. And then they engage any extra questions they might have of the landowner and what steps they've taken to secure access to said intake point. And then they will, if there's extra restrictions that they need to impose, they will say, hey, well, landowner, you need to speak with the Corps of Engineers to get access to the actual water source from your intake point. And please, once you provide that information, you're in full compliance with your I probably speaking a little out of turn, but that as being a layman to some of that, but Dallas or his son could maybe answer
Can you
Well,
specify that information?
you can ask them, because I don't have.
I'm asking the board. I'm asking the board.
What information do you want me to specify, sir?
Yeah, you said that information. I was just wondering what that preferred to retain to.
I'm sorry, I'm not following this.
I
I
think
don't
he
know what
means
you're
like the
asking.
that information. He means like that information about the specifics of their water permit that they have through the state. You would have to talk to the actual applicants who received the state water permit.
Or you
That
could
that was
request it directly from the state and they'll give you a copy of it as well, because it's public record.
thank you, Tori. That's all.
Let's summarize a little bit then. Dallas, I didn't realize it's a two-step process. Both the state and the Corps of Engineers have to approve.
Yes, yeah.
My only experience is with just with the state.
The state's easy. I mean, that was fairly easy to apply and get that permit. So we actually have the permit for the water. The Corps, in other words, we got to cross Corps land if you look from the corner. And so that's where the Corps gets involved. And that's where it's pretty time consuming. And again, I think now we're at the stage finally where we have applied for the actual permit. For the construction permit from the Corps now, and we're working through that process. So that's the stickler, kind of where we're at, which again, we have no idea how long that could take. It took us over a year just to get a permit to do the geotech work there. With they drilled, I think, 3 holes just on the shore there this spring, and it took a year to get that. We actually had to get a hold of a congressman to push the Corps to get that done, because it got to the point it was ridiculous. They kept promising and promising, and again, we're going to be pretty careful now. We're going to keep the congressmen involved in making sure the Corps is doing what they're supposed to. We hope, and moving forward with our application.
So from the Corps, you need a permit for the pipeline into the lake.
Right. Do you want to?
Basically, yeah, it's a lengthy process of I can't remember their 404 reviews, 408 reviews.
Right.
There's a lot of things that the Corps reviews themselves in order to basically issue an easement to be there. It's standard procedure with them. It takes time. You just keep giving them information, and if it satisfies their needs, they'll hopefully present you with an easement to be there. Basically, yes.
And Garrett, didn't the state do a study on future economic stuff that they could see a benefit to having was it up to there was a handful, I forget now, but they thought their findings were that the state will benefit, or the community, we would benefit from having was it 2, 3 or 4 of these intakes on the north side of Sakakawea for future growth.
Yeah, that's right, Barry. So, and I got a copy of that here, and so you guys can pull it and find it. But I think this study was just done this year. I heard about it like in first year, I think. So the State Water Commission hired a firm to do a comprehensive study on analysis for determining areas for intakes, and they were actually someplace I read looking for maybe 5 intakes between the state line and Washburn, and with 15,000 acre feet per site, and they were looking at like maybe there should be 5 sites. So I think the state's thinking that in the future there's going to be this demand for water, and that study you can go, I think it's like 80 pages long. You can just go to the State Water Commission, scroll down and pull up the study they did, and that was just done this year. And I did run them off some copies just of their results, like for example, they did from Williston to the Montana border. They had an analysis there, and then from Williston to Fort Bertha Reservation, which would be in our area, analysis there, and then south of that, and then down to Washburn. So they studied these different areas. I did call and ask the state why they came up with the 15,000 acre feet, and they said that was just an arbitrary number that they picked up. Not saying that's exactly what it should be. Ours is for 10,000 acre feet, so it's less. But again, I think we're okay that way. I did ask the engineers to look at the design and see what is the shortcomings. For example, if the building with the cistern is the limiting factor of if it wanted to go from, in other words, from 6,200 gallons a minute to 75, for example, then it'd be very easy to increase that, possibly. Very simple. If it's going from a 30-inch pipe to 36, that might be more again. But then also there's, again, a half a dozen industrial permits down there. So I think we're good where we're at, but basically the state sees the need for this in the future. That's why they asked and did this study, which again, you can pull up easy if you go to the State Water Commission website.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Dallas, I'm going to assume that you're aware that there is a 36 being pulled out on the south side of the lake and going down to Richardson to the ethanol plant.
Right, straight south, you mean, across from us? There's this.
No, it's further down. It's more in the Beulah area on the bottom of the lake.
Oh, okay.
On the bottom part of the reservoir. But there's a plan to make jet fuel at Richardson at the ethanol plant. And they're going to use just a ton of water out of the lake too. So I don't know what company you're using, but maybe it's the same company that's working on both of them, or will be working on.
That's who's designing that, you mean? Yeah, I don't know. Another reason, I guess, and just again an overview, but when we first started this project back in 2018, I read a piece of paper or letter that from another intake that was put in on the south side, and at the time, 60% of the industrial water out of Lake Sacagawea is owned by a company out of Texas, which is kind of sad. In other words, 60% of the industrial water out of Lake Sacagawea is owned by a company out of Texas. And that was another kind of reason where I felt, we needed to do something for this area instead of company out of Texas.
Anyone else? Anybody else from the public? I'm going to close the public hearing. You guys might want to wait up there and give some other questions. Wait up here while see if there's any other questions. All right, the public hearing is closed. Any other questions for the applicants? Anything else you want to? Dallas, I'm trying to sort out the process of this. Is this the first step? Obviously the permit from the Corps is the first step. But is the idea to build the pumping station, build the intake, and then hope somebody comes along to do the rest of it? Or are you going to wait till you have a partner?
I don't think, I guess our thoughts are, I think just about every day in the news or every week you'll read where there's more and more demand for water. In the future, there's going to be more and more demand for water. And so we feel that for the north side of the lake, for future developments, whatever it is, it's just going to be a high demand. And if we're the only ones that feel that way, nobody picks it up, then we jumped into something that didn't work. But we're not going to build it ourselves. Like I say, if somebody doesn't come along and say, you got a great idea, this is something really important. Just to give you an example, and I'm thinking this is like 20 years ago, Rar Malting out of Minneapolis and Budweiser was gonna do a plant just west of Tioga. And they had the land, I think, picked out. They needed water. They did get a permit from the state out of the Huffland Aquifer. At the time, there was no industrial permits. And they planned on moving forward the project. They needed a lot of water for it. They actually stayed at our lodge, Budweiser executives and RAR, to have discussions for 3 days or whatever. And the project, everybody agreed and they were going to move forward on it. And then all of a sudden ethanol plants came into play, and every magazine you picked up was talking about ethanol plants. And they got scared out of the area and built one, I think, out in Great Falls instead. The point is they needed water, and at that time they were able to get a permit out of the Huffland Aquifer. If that same plant was going to happen now, without an intake someplace out of the lake, those projects won't happen. But we're not going to do it ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Commissioners, thoughts, wishes?
Well, I think it's a great project. I wish them luck with their Corps of Engineering permit. I can see the economic development that it can pose to this area, and in the future, I certainly appreciate that you guys are talking about using pipelines to transport water more long term, and I'm sure there's been a lot of work and time and money invested to get where you are today, and I just personally think it's a great project and it'll serve this area well if they can get it all across the finish line.
Anyone else? I'm certainly hoping that the county park board looks at this really closely, because 4 or 5 months out of the year, that's a real popular spot down there. And if it's just electric motors inside the building and no other complications, it'll probably be fine. Anyone else? How do you wish to proceed?
Well,
Make a
I,
motion to-
I'd
Go
make
ahead,
a
Barry.
motion to approve. I said
Second.
I would make a motion to approve. And just a side note, that Dan, I agree completely with you. I've talked with Dallas and Garrett quite a bit about this, because we're developing county park down there, and they have that in mind, and I think I believe they could be good neighbors.
Well, Barry, they always have been good neighbors down there.
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay. Troy, you had a motion.
I think she was the second.
Correct.
Barry made the motion.
Barry made the motion, excuse me. But now I'm looking for the second. Do we have the second?
I think Tori did it.
Second.
All right. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Thanks, Dallas.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Item number 2.
Okay, so the second one we have tonight is LU-0088-25, which is Carl France. He's requesting a zone change to the rural residential zoning district for an approximately 15.18 acre parcel. This is located in Lot 1, Block 3 of Mortensen Commercial Subdivision, which is Section 30, Township 154 North, Range 102 West, being in Judson Township. The township has recommended denial as they feel this is spot zoning in the area. The applicant is requesting the zone change for the subject property to the rural residential zoning district. Property is currently within the heavy industrial zoning district and consists of approximately 15.18 acres. Subject property has never been developed and is currently vacant land. The reason for requesting the zone change is that the applicant has a contract for deed with the current landowner and would like to build a single-family residence on the property. Access to the subject property is off of 146th Drive Northwest.
Any questions for Michelle? Michelle, is the rest of the land is still industrial?
It is, yes.
Thank you.
I had a quick question for Michelle. Are there any other houses in that industrial area?
There is not housing in there. There is down to the south. There's one of the man camps. I think it's the Williams County Lodge is right to the south, just a little ways. Other than that, there is no housing directly in that area.
Okay, how about we open the public hearing and see if the applicant's here. Is the applicant here? Yeah. Please come forward. Thank you.
So there are, just to the west there, they're planning on building a house on that lot, and then just to the south, the landowner there has a house as well. You can see it just where they come together, right there. Yes, sir.
In the industrial zone.
No, they're not in the. I'm on the edge of it.
Okay. My concern was changing this one and then having somebody put a pipe yard in next to you.
Right.
And that would
yes, sir.
that would not go over very well, I'm assuming. Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Thanks for coming up.
Yep.
Any other comments? Anybody else wish to speak? I'll close the public hearing, turn it over to the board. Thoughts? Wishes? Questions?
So Michelle, to the north and west, is that Morton subdivision up there?
Yep, that one is one of the subdivisions he did, and then also off to just further to the west, there's that larger parcel that's yellow. He's working through the minor subdivision process and doing 4 10-acre lots there as well. So there is residential within the area, just not specifically right where this particular lot is.
Didn't we approve changing that piece down there to the south, just south of his subdivision to residential, rural residential here a few months ago?
So right directly to the west, there's it's kind of like a odd rectangular type shape. That one, they did a minor subdivision, I would say about a year ago, potentially, and they did a variance to remain an agricultural zoning district. So, but they are building a home on that property.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said about the agriculture.
Yep, they did a variance to remain in agricultural instead of changing to the rural residential.
How many acres was that, do you remember?
Can we click on that one?
Well, if it was 40, they wouldn't have had to do anything at all. would they?
I didn't think, nope, that way. Right there. 34. So it was kind of on that bubble where
Okay.
it just was best to,
I just thought we did something.
yep, we did.
That's on the other side of the section line. and then that's-
Correct, yes.
Any other questions? Anyone else?
Is there much industrial in there right now?
So if you look across the road and up just a little ways, there's a shop. The main industrial portions really are either further north to the highway, or there is one just right along that bend. There's where the green dot is, kind of to the east of where the man camp is. There's some industrial, but it's more like shop and things like that. It's not super industrial, I would say.
All the roads in there are private roads. I mean, there's no township roads in there at all. So getting in there is a private road, and then everything, everything in there is, except that section line. And that road, the section line is built up down to the, I think just past where it says Lambert Street. And from there, it's a grass, just a grass trail.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I got one.
Would you state your name this time for the record?
Robert Velez. I was just wondering, what do the colors pertain to? I see that there's like pink, yellow, purple, blue. Is it specific with maybe like certain?
There's zoning districts. So the light yellow is rural residential. The darker yellow would be urban residential. The dark purple, heavy industrial. Light purple is light industrial. Then you have rural commercial is like that pinkish color. The blue you see up on that map, it's just going to be parcel lines that are showing up and it looks like the parcel's colored in blue, but if we were to zoom in, they would be separated parcels.
That answer your question? Did that answer your question?
It specified a little bit more. Thank you.
Yes. Close the public hearing. How do you wish to proceed?
You know, I'm gonna guess that when we did this, we made an area for industrial purposes, just for that use to keep it away from the residential. So to put residential back in there, to me, just doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna make a motion to deny the request.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Second time. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
James,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Dan.
No, motion carries. Any other items for tonight? Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming in.
I'll make a motion to adjourn if we need to do that.
That would be just perfect. We are adjourned.